Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Most welcome. Glad that you could all join us this fine Thursday morning. Hope everyone is doing well. And glad to see a lot of familiar names who are joining us here on Zoom. So glad to see you guys here. So since we're a good number, we should be able to start. So hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Mitch Kaniero, and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. During these sessions, ideally, us as the Afriforex team, we analyze the market every morning, we identify what trading opportunities we will be looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, not here alone, I am here with the Afriforex team. So we do have John in the back office. We have other team members who are still busy doing a number of things, but they will be joining us later on. So remember, if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions either in the Q&A section or in the chat box, but it would be much preferable to ask those questions on the Q&A section, as I will address them at the end of the webinar. So I guess we can jump straight into it. So I'm going to share my screen. Hope it is clear for everyone, and hope everyone can see it. So as usual, we'll start off with our watch list. Now, one thing you need to realize, I think you'll end up seeing, our watch list yesterday and today, there's not really much change, especially with the currency pairs. So we will still be looking for buying opportunities on the Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, the New Zealand dollar, as well as the Australian dollar. Similar situation to yesterday, and buy selling opportunities on the British pound, the Japanese yen, the US dollar, as well as the euro. However, you have noticed in terms of our metals, gold and silver have now moved to the buy side, since they did end up breaking certain levels. However, we will end up going through those pairs as well. So since the bias is still similar, and it's one thing, it's mainly because remember yesterday was a holiday, Juneteenth, so there wasn't necessarily much activity during the US market open, and you can clearly see no real fundamentals that were coming out. So that's the reason why there's not necessarily been much of a change. We did have some New Zealand dollar fundamentals and some euro fundamentals that have already come out. However, there's been no change in terms of the euro is still expecting some weakness, and the New Zealand dollar, we are still end up expecting some strength on that pair. You can see the GDP went from a minus 0.1 to a 0.2, which is good. Now, we do have a lot of fundamentals today. You can see we have the Swiss franc fundamentals at 10:30 a.m. You realize this is GMT +3, so this is the East African time. So we can see 10:30, we have some interest rate decisions for the Swiss franc. So expect a lot of volatility on the Swiss franc. And we also have some British pound interest rates as well. So a number of countries are giving out their interest rates news today. So we have the British pound, which is at 2 p.m., as well as the Swiss franc, which is at 10:30, just 30 minutes into the London session. So do end up expecting a lot of volatility at that time. However, if there are any changes, we will end up informing you on the Telegram channel if there are any changes to the watch list. So we'll now focus on today's pairs, which are pretty similar to yesterday's. So we'll start off with the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias on this kind of pair was to look for selling opportunities. It still is the same situation today. You can just zoom out a bit. You can see we pretty much have the exact same areas that we did have yesterday. The main aggressive sellers right there at the top. We have some sellers right here in the middle, and we also have some buyers which could give us some issues or some problems right there at the bottom. Now, remember what I pointed out yesterday. Remember, whenever we're looking for trades, we want to buy with buyers and sell with sellers. Yesterday, we were looking for selling opportunities on this pair. And remember, we pointed those specific times, 10, 3, and 4:30. So you can also see we did end up pointing out, or at least I pointed out this level right here, because did say, as long as you find your price is within a particular seller's area, and it's there within one of the market opening times, it gives your trade a high probability of working out. So you can see the buyers came in quite aggressive yesterday as we're having this session. You can see by the time it approached the high, it was exactly 10 o'clock. But we also tell you, do not just necessarily jump onto trades just because we're within a seller's area. And especially you could see how aggressive these buyers were actually coming to the upside. However, the trick was you could end up seeing on the pullback, the price attempted to go up. There was a struggle, and there could have been another opportunity right there. Because at least at that point in time, if you compare how these buyers came up with 1 or 2 candles, but compare how the buyers came up the next time attempting to break that high. It took way, way more candles to actually do that. and it could not actually break. So that did give us a small selling opportunity there. If not, if you notice the price at 3 o'clock, the market managed to actually just break this level to the downside, confirm that the price was holding, and you can see the price has attempted to come down lower. Unfortunately, we could not get all the way to the main buyer's area. You can see these levels, even though we have these extreme areas, could still end up getting there. That's still the bias. However, you need to watch out for certain levels where buyers or sellers have reacted from. You can see this is an area where buyers have reacted from before. It makes sense that the price could end up reacting from that particular level again. And if you take note of the time, the price actually stopped moving to the downside at 4:30. And now during the US market, you can see if you waited for a pullback, there was a pullback this area, giving you another opportunity to look for a sell to actually come down with it. Now, there wasn't necessarily much activity during the US session yesterday. Remember, it was Juneteenth, there was a holiday yesterday. You will realize on most of these pairs, during the Asian session, that's when now they have actually started moving to the downside. So pretty much the game plan is similar today. We want to look for these selling opportunities, but be careful. Right now, we have just broken a specific level. You can clearly see this is a level where buyers have constantly reacted from. Whenever the price attempts to break this level, you can see it's just a huge probe. Every time the price tries to come down, the price comes back and holds above. So these are also a major level you need to watch out for. If we do end up getting the price giving us some sort of pullback within this area, we could actually potentially see a small selling opportunity here. But we want to end up looking to see if we can grab selling opportunities from as high as possible or for anywhere as close to any sellers as possible. So I hope that's clear on the British pound against the Canadian dollar. We'll still be looking for those selling opportunities on this pair. Now, moving on to the next Canadian dollar pair we do have the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. The yen pairs are really showing a lot of weakness. They are quite grinding up quite slowly. However, we do end up having these levels. So we have adjusted the levels slightly today, but you can see the areas that we had highlighted yesterday. So we were looking for buying opportunities on this pair, and you can see the price when it started actually moving to the upside. If I look at the price at 10 o'clock, exactly where it was. Unfortunately, we did not get all the way to this main buyer's area that we had pointed out, but it seems there was some sort of support and resistance area here. You can see there's an area where it was a resistance. And once the price breached the upside, you can see it did end up holding as a support. Now, the price did come down quite aggressive, but at 10 o'clock, we did end up getting that strength, or at least that buying opportunity that we're looking for. And you can see the price continued going up quite aggressively. Now, if we do take note of the time at 3 o'clock, once the price, remember we also point out, once the price breaks this conservative area to the upside and we get confirmation that the price is holding, we can also look for a buying opportunity there, which you can see the market did continue grinding to the upside. So today, similar situation, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. So we have adjusted the level slightly. So we have our conservative area, an area where the sellers. So for us, we do not want to jump in on any buying opportunities just yet. We either need this level to be reached to the upside and hold above, or let's hope we can end up actually getting a pullback, coming back all the way to this main support and resistance area. You can see it was a level where it really held as a resistance. Once we've reached the upside, it's highly likely that it's going to be holding as a support. So that could be a potential area that we could potentially look for a buying opportunity from. But we will be looking for buys as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area. So if the price continues coming down, even if you don't see a reaction here and the price continues coming down lower, that is fine. Because as long as the price is holding above here, we can still see the price going to the upside. It's only if the price comes below and holds below, shows us confirmation that it's holding below, that's when this pair will fall off our watch list. But overall, our bias here is definitely to look for those buying opportunities on the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. So I hope that's clear. CAD yen, as we move on to the next currency pair we do have, which is the US dollar against the Canadian dollar. Now, in this currency pair, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Can see the sell did work out, and we will still be looking for those selling opportunities today. Now, unfortunately, at the level that we were hoping for price to get to, just missed it. If we do take note of the time, when 10 o'clock was, it was just there, right? The highest point, as you can clearly see, once the price got towards this level, was within an area where the sellers did end up reacting, coming to the downside. Now, if you miss that trade, remember, we also point out, you can end up waiting for a breach of this area, wait for a pullback and get confirmation that the price is actually holding below. So this did end up giving us an opportunity to actually take this price down lower. Now, if you do take note of the timings, was getting to around 3 o'clock. You can see that's during the US market. So at 4:30, I think did end up giving us a small other opportunity. You can see the main push actually ended up coming down. So all these times that were pointed out at 10, there was a potential selling opportunity. At 3, another potential selling opportunity, and similar situation at 4:30. But they have to be within particular areas for you to actually take advantage of. But overall, the trades did end up working out, managing to come down. And today, the bias is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. However, we've adjusted the level slightly. So the red support and resistance area was all the way at the top there. But right now, we have moved it down lower, meaning if we do end up getting the price breaking and holding above this red support and resistance area, then this pair will fall off our watch list and we will no longer be looking for selling opportunities. But for now, as long as the price is still holding below, you can see we've gotten a pullback. We want to see if we can actually grab a selling opportunity within this particular location. But there's also a possibility this area might not necessarily be good enough. Main reason is you can see the price managed to come down. We did get a pullback coming back to this same seller's area, and they attempted to come down lower. The fact that they could not go lower possibly means that this price here was not good enough, meaning we might need a bit of a better price, maybe to incite a few more buyers. So if you do see the price probing, coming to the upside, once the price is all the way here, most people are actually looking for buying opportunities there. They'll no longer be looking for sells. And if you do see aggressive sellers coming in and the price holding below, that could end up giving us a very nice selling opportunity. But remember, watch out for the market opening times. And also take note of which currency pair you're actually trading. Like the fact that we're dealing with the US dollar and the Canadian dollar, both those economies are open during the US market. So that's where you mostly find a lot more volatility of these charts. Now, if you come to another pair, let's say you're dealing with the yen pairs, that's most likely going to be active during the Asian session. Similar situation. The economies that are open during Europe has a high likelihood of actually being more volatile than most other pairs. And volatility gives us trading opportunities. So it's not really a bad thing. So hope that's clear on the US dollar against Canadian dollar as we move on to the next currency pair we do have, to the euro against the Canadian dollar. Now, in this currency pair, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Still similar situation today. However, it seems that the big boys weren't really interested in looking for the sells, unfortunately. Remember, yesterday was a holiday, and it seems that this market just actually continued ranging. We wanted to see if we could end up getting the price coming up within this particular area. You can see we had our red support and resistance area at the top there. We have adjusted it slightly, pushing it down lower. It seems that this potentially could be probes. And if you do take note, you can see the price did end up coming and reacting within this seller's area at around 3 o'clock, managing to come down, but the price was just ranging, bouncing between these two levels. So today, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities, and this one is actually potentially giving us a very nice trading opportunity. One reason for that, those who have done any of our courses will know that we have certain clues, especially when the market is ranging. Similar situation to this. The one thing that you'll always find is once we get the price breaking to the downside or even to the upside, and we get that pullback and it shows confirmation that the price is holding below, this will give you a high probability trade setup to actually be able to continue looking for the sells. But you have to confirm that that level has actually been broken. What you don't want, because you can see a lot of the times with the markets ranging, they give you such huge probes. So even though the price looks as if it's broken to this side, it's the same situation right here. It looks like the price had broken to the upside, but you could easily find the price coming back in, holding inside, meaning that level has not been broken. So for us to confirm that there is a nice sell here, let's wait for that pullback. If we do end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal, some evidence that the sellers are actually still holding the market and the buyers cannot take it up higher, then we have a nice selling opportunity to take it down lower. And hopefully it's there within one of the market opening time. Remember 10, 3, and 4:30. So hope that's clear. We'll wait to see how this market ends up reacting. In fact, I'll even end up putting an alert there. So at least when the price gets to that level, could be notified and to see how it ends up reacting. It's not necessarily just jumping in on a trade right there. We want to see what kind of slowdown happens there. We're able to look for a selling opportunity. So hope that's clear on the euro against Canadian dollar. And we're done with the Canadian dollar pairs. As you can see, I've mixed the Canadian dollar with all the pairs on the sell side. That's the British pound, the yen, the US dollar, as well as the euro. So right now we're going to do the same thing with the Swiss franc, the New Zealand dollar, as well as the Australian dollar, before we have a look at gold, silver, and a few indices as well. So moving on to the next pair we do have the British pound against Swiss franc. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Now, Can see the price side coming up quite aggressive. I remember being asked a question yesterday during the Q&A section, asking if we could end up jumping in on a sell. Was it on this one, or should have been on this one, or is it the British pound against the Swiss franc? Sorry, British pound against the Canadian dollar. But either way, remember we did point out the way the buyers were coming in was very aggressive. We needed some sort of slowdown, and also pointed out there are areas where the sellers could end up reacting from. So just because we have these locations, that doesn't mean that this is the end all of it. They could watch out when the price approaches an area where the sellers look to see what kind of reaction is there, and especially with the market opening time. So in this situation, you can see how the buyers were coming in very aggressive. Those are very strong buyers. You don't want to just run into incoming traffic. You want to see the cars slow down before you're able to cross. So in this situation, this was a very heavy traffic, so you need to slow down. At 10 o'clock, it attempted to come down, but couldn't. You can see the price attempted to go to the upside. We approached an area where the sellers, we did end up getting a very nice probe right there. And the price managed to actually come down, managed to actually break to the downside from 3 o'clock. You can see once the price broke to the downside, what do we say? Let's wait for a pullback to come in, confirming that the price is actually holding below, which you can see it did, giving us a nice selling opportunity. And now the market did not necessarily move as much yesterday, because you can see during the US session was within here. This is all the market did during the US session, nothing much. But it's once, because that's mainly because there was no fundamentals or any big boys during the US market yesterday. But once the Asian market came in, you can see there was a breach and a hole, and you can see now the market is moving to the downside. So also wait for such situations as well to get confirmation. So today the buyers here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. Watch out for these same three areas that we do have. The fact that the price is already on its way. There's nothing much we can do for now. It's either we wait for a breach to the downside, or hopefully we can end up getting some sort of pullback coming in to maybe one of these sellers areas. Because you take note, even though the same way we had this sellers area here when the market reacted, even though we have the main level all the way down here at the bottom, you can see there are buyers right here who managed to push this price up higher. So let's hope we can see some sort of pullback coming in, some sort of slowdown, and we see the buyers struggling. And if we do see them struggling, especially if you look at how aggressive, the last time they were here, look how big and aggressive and fast they went. But if we do see them slowing down within this area, let's look to see if we can grab a selling opportunity and see how the market reacts within one of these sellers areas. If there's no reaction within this first location, let's wait for the next one. If there's nothing there, we could end up waiting all the way till the top. Or ideally just waiting for a breach to the downside. And when you get a pullback there, we can be able to look for selling opportunities as well on the British pound against the Swiss franc. So I hope that's clear on GBP-CHF as we move on to the next Swiss franc pair, which is the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Now, in this kind of pair, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that I had pointed out yesterday. So we had the main aggressive buyers right here at the bottom. But you can see the market was within this seller's area, and it did manage to actually give us a pullback, quite a nice pullback all the way to this main buyer's area here. Now, at 10 o'clock, you can see there's an area where the buyers reacted. We did react again. But if you take note, we do not actually look for a buying opportunity just then. We want to also get clues that the fact that we can end up looking for buying opportunities there. Remember, we say we don't necessarily want to buy or at least jump onto the road when there's incoming traffic. If cars are coming too fast, we need to slow down. So that's the main thing we wanted to see. So even though the sellers came down very aggressive, we did not want, and the buy did end up working out, this was not a risk, or at least a good trade, mainly because it's not something that we can repeat. But once we got evidence that the buyers are back, and you can see the market still did give us a pullback, coming back all the way down towards the buyers area here, and we can see the market managed to go up towards at least this particular high. Now, even though the price managed to continue going up higher, and you can see also during the US session, sorry, the Asian session, the price continued going up, but still this trade ended up giving us a risk reward, or just 11 pips stop loss, targeting 42, giving us a risk reward of 1:3.5 is a good thing. So you can see we did end up having the trade right here. And you can clearly see the buy right there at the bottom after confirmation that, yes, those sellers who are coming in have actually slowed down. You can see the price managed to go up. We took our profit where the buyers are, sorry, where the sellers are. There's no need to end up trying to get the maximum or trying to think that the price is going to continue going up higher. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So it's something that you're able to repeat consistently day in, day out, you will end up making money. You don't make money by trying to get the buy here and trying to see if you can exit all the way at the top. It's what can you do each and every day. You buy from somewhere, close your trade, do it again, repeat the process over and over. And that's the way you'll end up making some good money from the market. So today, buyers is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we have adjusted the level slightly. You can see right now we're within an area where there are sellers. So definitely not a good place to look for a buy unless we get the price breaching and holding above this area. That's when we can look for a buying opportunity. But for now, we hope to see if we can end up getting some sort of pullback. You can see it still happened yesterday where the price managed to still come all the way back down towards the support and resistance area, at least an area where buyers have reacted from before. So we'll wait to see if we can grab that pullback within this particular area for us to look for a buying opportunity. But we are fully aware that as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities on the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. So I hope that's clear on CHF-yen. We move on to the next Swiss franc pair, which is the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, this currency pair, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Now, we do have these three areas that we have highlighted. Pretty much the same areas today. You'll realize the market, in terms of the market structure, yes, even though overall we have been coming down, this price does seem to be ranging between these two levels. And you can see exactly the timings that we talk about. So at 10, leader attempting to come down, not enough big boys. The price managed to pull back up all the way around this particular time when the price managed to get towards this particular area. You can see the buyers came up, sellers really rejected it, although this was at around 1:30. Not necessarily one of the market opening times, but this was just basically during the London session. Now you can see once the price came down, you can take note of how the US market did end up reacting. You can see that's from 3 o'clock. And what did the market do? Nothing at all. So we can clearly see no big boys were interested in order for it to not actually go anywhere. It's only once the Asian session came in, you can now see volatility coming in and bigger candles as well. So today we'll still be looking for selling opportunities. If this market is ranging, remember, as we point out, the best place to look for the sellers at the top of the range, making sure to manage your trade at the bottom. Now, we will not encourage you to look for a buy, mainly because the overall direction is still for us to go down. And if this is all the buyers can do, what's most likely to happen is we could end up getting a breach to the downside. And if we do that, let's wait to see if we can get a pullback. And if the price falls below the range, remember, as I'd explained on the other currency pair, we could end up finding a nice selling opportunity, but we need to confirm that that level has actually been broken. So hope that's clear in the US dollar against the Swiss franc as we move on to the next Swiss franc pair, which is the euro against the Swiss franc. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. We did point out these three areas, the aggressive sellers all the way at the top. So that hasn't changed. It's similar situation with the US dollar against Swiss franc. Some sort of small range happening in between these two levels right here, because you can clearly see a similar situation. At 10 o'clock, yes, the price was within a buyer's area. And if you did look for a buy, yes, it could have worked. But for us, we would not necessarily do that. It does add a lot of risk. But we do know a number of people are able to take the advice that we give and use it in different ways. So whichever way works for you, we're happy about that. But you can clearly see there was risk, the way the price attempted to come down. But once the price came back up, this is a good thing in terms of a sign of what we wanted. Price came back within the seller's area. It was just around 2 o'clock, just before the US market opened. But I think we can end up looking at a bit more detail, let's say on the smaller time frame, because now we are only able to see more of this detail once we go down to a smaller time frame, probably the 3-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame. You can see the way the buyers came up within this area, the sellers really rejected it. But now within this area where the buyers were, how did they react? But let me just zoom in a bit slide so you can end up seeing a bit more detail. So this is how we're ideally just giving you a quick glimpse into how we look at the market. You can see the buyers pushing to the upside, quite aggressive. They started pushing within this area. Now, the sellers came down very aggressive as well, which is a good thing because remember, we wanted to look for selling opportunity. The one thing that we needed confirmation was, what are these buyers? The last time they pushed it up quite aggressive. What are they going to do next? You can see hardly anything. They could not end up pushing it up. They showed that they were lacking strength or at least not interested in looking for buying opportunities at that price. And what happened? Once the price broke to the downside, it did give us a pullback, confirming that the price was holding below. And that was just around 3 o'clock. So giving you a specific time around 3:09, 3:12, so 12 minutes just after the US market opened. If you did look for a selling opportunity there, you can see the market did manage to continue coming down lower, all the way back down to the main buyer's area. But you can also note that the main move that did end up happening, the price could have just remained there during the US session, because remember, the US market, there was no real, or at least the market was closed, but it was mainly during the Asian session that the price has managed to continue coming down lower. So today, our bias is still going to be looking for sells. Let's wait to get confirmation that this is an actual breach to the downside. If we do get the price holding below, we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on the euro against the Swiss franc. Now, moving on to the next currency pair we do have. So we're now going to move on to the New Zealand dollar pairs. So we've finished this Canadian dollar pairs as well as the Swiss franc pairs. So moving on to the New Zealand dollar pairs, we'll have the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Now, in this currency pair, our bias here is to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today. So yesterday, we had this level slightly higher right here. So unfortunately, the price could not necessarily get all the way there. Realized after the fact that the true support and resistance seems to be within this particular area, where you can clearly see it's an area of resistance / an area of support. So as the price managed to continue going up, you can see the price approach this area where the sellers at 3 o'clock, we saw some aggressive sellers coming in. And that was the case. We could have actually ended up waiting for a pullback to come in, looking for a selling opportunity within the probe area. You can see this is a probe. The market managed to come in. And how did the buyers come in? Very slowly, especially if you compare with how the sellers came in. I know those of you who have done our intermediate class will remember this concept that we used to teach. But you can clearly see no activity during the US session. But once the Asian session came in, look at that volatility that came in. And still, even if you missed your trade, and this is the reason why we always tell people, don't chase the market. Because I bet you once the price started coming down, when the price was all the way down here, many people jumped in on sales, which is unfortunate at times. But remember, once those moves happen, you should always wait for a pullback. Similar situation, the move happened here, there was a pullback. There's a big move that happened here, there was a pullback that managed to come towards a seller's area. So don't necessarily just see a big move, then jump in all the way at the bottom. It does not necessarily make sense. Like right now, at least we are starting to come down. You can see the market did give us a pullback, coming back towards the seller's area. And you can see it's given us evidence that these buyers are not showing much interest. So right now, the fact that the price is breaking this area to the downside, let's hope we see the price holding below. We do see the price holding below, we could actually find a very nice selling opportunity. So this trade hasn't yet gone. We do end up having a potential trade right there, but watch out for these problem areas. An area where buyers have reacted from before, they could end up reacting from there again. So even if you do manage to grab yourself, watch out for such a level. If you see some sort of reaction, do some sort of trade management, either moving your stop loss, closing some of your position to at least secure some profit as well. So today, buyers is going to be looking for those selling opportunities. So we'll focus on these 3 levels right there. It's main seller right there at the top. So as long as we're holding below that level, we should be looking for selling opportunities. We have this level that we are attempting to breach. You can see we've attempted to breach this area one time, but it just went straight back in. So this was not a real breach. So let's hope right now, if we break this area to the downside and we hold below, we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities, making sure to manage our trade within the bottom area here. So also adjust this level to put it a more true support and resistance area. So I hope that's clear on the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. This will be very interesting to see what ends up happening. So moving on to the next New Zealand dollar pair, we do have the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. So we'll be focusing on these 3 areas, which are pretty much similar to the exact same areas that we did have yesterday. But right now, you can see we're back within an area where there are sellers. So no buying opportunity just yet, unless we get the price breaking and holding above this area. You can see it attempted to break to the upside. So most people right here, when the price is all the way here, thinking that it's a buy, jumping in on their buys, where would they have put their stop losses, even thinking that the price has already gone? The farthest place that the stop loss would be is here. And what happened? The price just comes, stops people out, then actually continues to go to the upside. So always wait for that discount, wait for that pullback to come in before you're able to take those trades. Do not chase the market, right? I don't think most people, if they miss their flight, they're not on the runway chasing after the plane. They'll have to wait for the next one. Similar situation with a bus. Don't chase the one that's gone. You start trying to stop it in the middle of the road, it's dangerous. You could easily get run over. The whole point is to try and do it in a safe space. So let's wait to see if we can end up getting those pullbacks coming in for us to look for nice trading opportunities. As you can see yesterday, it did end up working out quite nicely. At 10 o'clock, where was the price? Right here within the bars, you can see the reaction. It did end up giving some sort of probe. And you can see the market did manage to continue going up. There was a bit of activity during the London session. So you can see the London session managed to move from here all the way till here. But the US session did not do anything. So it's only once the Asian session came in where there were actual big boys, did you see the market actually going to the upside. So today the bias is still going to be looking for these buying opportunities. Let's wait for a breach, the upside and a hold for us to look for those buys, because we are already seeing, look at the reaction that last time the sellers had. And is this the only reaction that they're doing? If that's the case, we have a high probability of being broken to the upside. And if you see the price holding above, we should be able to continue looking for those buying opportunities on the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next New Zealand dollar pair, which is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Similar situation. Yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities of this kind of pair. We were waiting to see if we can end up getting a pullback. Unfortunately, the pullback did not necessarily give us much of an opportunity. Hence, yesterday during the London session at 10 o'clock, as well as during, or at least, let me put it out, the London session was at 10, which was from here. So we can end up saying that during the whole day, this is all that happened. Market just ranging between these two levels, not really going anywhere. It's only once the Asian session came in that the price attempted to go up, but still managed to come down, and we'll still be looking for those buying opportunities. But you can see, even as the price approaches here, there was some sort of rejection that did end up coming in. So overall, we're still going to be looking for buying opportunities. Potentially, we're going to be entering into some sort of range here. So we wait to see if we can get some sort of probe or price action signal within this buyer's area for us to look for a buying opportunity. But we do know as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities on the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next and last New Zealand dollar pair, which is the euro against the New Zealand dollar. Now, in this kind of pair yesterday and today, our bias is to look for selling opportunities on this kind of pair. So we did have these three levels, and yesterday at 10 o'clock, or at least during the London session, when we're having this session, the price was within a buyer's area. And remember, we do not want to sell within a buyer's area. We either wanted a breach to the downside and the price holding below for us to confirm if we look for the sell, or waiting if we could end up getting the price coming back all the way to the top. A similar situation with the other New Zealand dollar pair we did have, was thinking that the price could potentially come up a bit higher. It seemed like the true support and resistance area seems to be here, where the sellers kept on reacting. And this may be, or at least this whole move to the upside possibly could have been a probe. So if that's the case, and this is the true support and resistance area, it does make sense when the price came up. We can see at 3 o'clock what kind of reaction came in. The sellers did end up attempting to push to the downside. But it's a similar situation as we pointed out with the other pairs. Even though you see the market coming down quite aggressive, wait and get confirmation to see that the buyers are actually slowing down. And you can see they attempted to at least to go up higher, much slower, or at least count how many hours it took or how many candles it took to get here in comparison to the last time where it took around 3 candles only. So that shows a sign that the buyers are slowing down. And it's once the Asian session came in, you can see the volatility that came in as well. So it's a similar situation with the British pound against the New Zealand dollar pair that we did have a look at. The rejection that came in, price managed to come back within the main seller's area, and we are attempting to come down lower. So today, buyers is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. So we'll watch out for these 3 areas. So the aggressive seller's area right here, right at the top. So if the price breaks and holds above this red support and resistance area, this pair will fall off our watch list. But we'll wait to see if we can get a breach and a hold below this area. We should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities, and we should be able to manage our trade within this buyer's area right here at the bottom. So you can take note of that on the euro against the New Zealand dollar. So moving on to the last kinds of pairs that we do have. So this is the Australian dollar pairs. We'll mix and match those with the pairs on the sell side. So starting off with the British pound against the Australian dollar, yesterday our bias was to look for selling opportunities. You can see the 3 areas that we had highlighted. So aggressive area right there at the top, which is a similar situation to today. So the levels will pretty much remain the same. Main reason why the levels remain the same at times is because no level, or at least major level, has been broken. So if this price had broken this area to the downside, then we would end up adjusting. But for now, since we're still within this area, we could potentially still see this market entering into some sort of range. However, that is seeming unlikely, just mainly because you can see yesterday, once the buyers reacted quite aggressive, we did get towards a seller's area around 3 o'clock, which did attempt to bring this price down low. Right now, the fact that we're within this buyer's area, look at the last time we just came here, look at the reaction it had. This time, it's trying to really push to the upside, really push to the upside. It is not really going anywhere. So there's a high probability we could end up getting this price breaking to the downside. We see the price holding below, then we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on this pair. But for now, we wait to see, because due to the fact that it's still a range, there's still the possibility. You never know if the fundamentals come out, could end up still getting the price approaching here before we're able to look for those sells on the British pound against the Australian dollar. So do take note of that. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next Australian dollar pair we do have, the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, remember, we did point out all the yen pairs. You can see the weakness that did show up. They were grinding up very slowly, going to the upside. So overall, today, you can see yesterday, but 10 o'clock, price was still holding within a seller's area. But once we breached this area to the upside, and was holding above. And you can see we're holding above at 3 o'clock as well as at 4:30. That did give us another trading opportunity to take the price up higher. So today, buyers is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll focus on these three areas. So aggressive area right there, conservative area at the top there, that's where the main sellers are. So that's an area that would give us issues. So right now, the main thing we want to see if we can end up getting a pullback approaching this particular area, giving us some sort of probe or price action signal, we should be able to look for buying opportunity. You can see the reaction of the seller, which is a good thing, because remember, we don't want to buy at such a high price. Let's get a bit of a discount coming in before we're able to look for those buys. But as long as the price is holding above this red support and resistance area, the bias is still going to be looking for buying opportunities on the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, moving on to the next Australian dollar pair we do have, which is the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Nothing much happened yesterday. You can see how much it was just grinding. Even though it did manage to break this area to the upside and it was holding above, you can see nothing really much happened. So both for the US dollar as well as the Australian dollar. So even though we're still looking for buys, we have adjusted the level slightly because we have made a new high. We have approached an area where the sellers are really struggling, or at least holding the market, saying that this is not a good enough price. At least we might need a better price in terms of a discount. So let's hope to see if we can end up getting the price approaching this particular problem area right here. We do end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal. We can be able to look for a buying opportunity here. But if not, the price can still pull back all the way to the main buyer's area for us to look for those buying opportunities. So just watch out for those three levels. Let's see if we can end up getting a pullback. And remember, watch out for the market opening times, because today we do have a lot of fundamentals coming out. So just take note, have your economic calendar out, take note of all these fundamentals. So we have a number of interest rates decisions. We have some even jobless claims. For the US as well, this news usually comes out on Thursdays. So expect a lot of volatility in the markets today, right? So last but not least, we have the euro against the Australian dollar. Similar situation, our bias here is to look for selling opportunities, similar to yesterday. We have adjusted the levels slightly, just mainly because you can see how the market reacted. We did manage to get the price breaching this area to the downside. At 10 o'clock, we actually got a pullback. Unfortunately, the price did not hold below. It came all the way back towards the seller's area. If we take note of the time, it was at 3 o'clock before the market attempted to try and come down low. So today, our bias here is definitely going to still be looking for selling opportunities. We'll just watch out for these three areas. So aggressive sellers area right there at the top. So as long as we're holding below this area, our bias is going to be looking for selling opportunities. Right now, we have the conservative area, which we could potentially find a nice selling opportunity there. But ideally, we need to make sure we manage our trade within this buyer's area right here at the bottom. If we are able to get the price continue to come down, reaching and holding below, we should be able to continue looking for those selling opportunities on the euro against the Australian dollar. So I hope that's clear for all the currency pairs. As you can clearly see, we've mixed and matched the pairs on the buy side with all the pairs on the sell side. So right now, we're going to have a look at the indices before we look at gold and silver. So we'll start off with the NASDAQ, NAS 100. So now on this currency pair yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Nothing much happened because you can clearly see yesterday the US session was, at least it was on a holiday, and we're dealing with the top 100 US companies. So there was not necessarily much volatility, and you can clearly see from the US market opening, the market never really went anywhere. So only once the Asian session came in, whereas we can actually see the buyers taking this price up to the upside. So we'll adjust this level slightly because you can clearly see this seems to be an area where the buyers seem to have been quite interested, holding, entering some sort of range. And these are the clues that we mentioned, like the fact that if you realize that, keep on saying, look at the first time how the market reacted, look at the second time. So if it's not reacting again, it has a high probability of breaking. Those are certain clues, because you can see here, the first time, look at how aggressive the seller came in, quite aggressive. Now the buyer came in not necessarily as strong, but now the seller still did end up reacting. But if you compare how he came down the first time and how he came back down this time, you can definitely say the second time he was weaker. But now, if you compare how the market ended up reacting yesterday, hardly anything. There was nothing that was actually happening. So the sellers were not even really interested in giving any discount or looking to sell at that price. So the only other alternative is for the price to go to the upside, confirm that the price is actually holding above to actually give you a buying opportunity. So that's the one thing that we're waiting for on most of these currency pairs. So for today, we will be definitely looking for buying opportunities. This is the all-time high, and I think was the same situation yesterday. We don't necessarily know how far this market is going to go. Don't necessarily think that just because we're at the highest, we have to come down. If people are buying, the price will go up, right? If the thing is in demand and people are willing to buy and they're desperate for it and they want to buy at a higher and higher price, the prices will go up. But in order for us to make money and to be consistent about it, let's hope if we can end up getting that pullback coming in, we end up getting some sort of proper price action signal before we're able to look for those buy opportunities. So I hope that's clear on the NASDAQ 100. So we'll look at the US 30, the Dow Jones as well. Now the Dow Jones here, we're going to be looking for selling opportunities. We do have these three areas looking for sales, but it's a similar situation. Remember, I did point out yesterday that this sellers area, even though we're still overall in a seller's market, it's looking as if it wants to be breached. And those are the clues that we're talking about from the previous pair in the US 100. So you can clearly see the way the sellers reacted the first time, quite aggressive. The second time, not necessarily doing much. Or look at how long it took the whole day just to get down to the same place where it took, I think, around an hour or so just to get down towards that. And right now, what kind of reaction are we seeing? So even though we're still looking for selling opportunities, because we are still holding, there's still that possibility, but it adds extra risk to looking for a buy now. Because remember, buy with buyers, sell with sellers. Since we're within a seller's area, the best thing to do is either wait for that breach to happen. The price actually holds above, then you can actually now look for your buying opportunity. That buy will give you way less issues in comparison to you jumping in on a buy now. You could easily find these sellers actually just kicking back in and actually bringing the price down lower. So just watch out for that. We'd end up waiting for the breach to the upside. But as long as we're holding below this level, our bias is still going to be looking for selling opportunities on the Dow Jones. So hope that's clear on the Dow Jones as we move on to silver. Now, silver really took off, and I think it was a similar situation in terms of the story of how we're looking at the market yesterday. Remember, we had these three areas, and we were looking for selling opportunities. Now, we did take note of the way the sellers were coming down wasn't very convincing, especially if we compare how they did push the first time and the second time. Now, this time, the way they were struggling, there was a high probability that this level was going to be breached, which it seems like it was. And the buyers have really, really taken off. I think even if we go to the 1 hour time frame, you can see we're breaking major levels as we are going to the upside. It could even potentially be coming up all the way up towards that area. But for now, we come down to the 15-minute. Definitely looking for buying opportunities. So it seems the markets are really running away because these are the levels we had earlier in the morning. So the aggressive buyers right there, semi-conservative, and the conservative area right here. But you can see as the price has broken to the upside, we want to get proper confirmation that the price is actually holding above. But we want to confirm that these buyers are still strong. You see the way the sellers came down with those two candles, that adds a bit of risk. We might still find the market giving us more of a pullback coming in within this area before we're able to look for a buying opportunity, or even just watch out for areas where buyers have reacted from before. You can see there's an area where they've reacted from before. take note of that as well. But definitely overall, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. The main thing we want to see is a pullback coming in to an area of interest, an area where buyers have reacted from before, in order for us to look for a buying opportunity again. So I hope the story on silver is clear. The main thing we want to do now, or at least the main thing, only thing we can do now, is wait for that pullback in order for us to look for those selling opportunities. So last but not least, we do have gold, and gold is doing something similar. You can clearly see we did end up having this area where the sellers, and overall our bias was to look for sell as long as we're holding below there. Once the price broke and held above, you can clearly see that's exactly what happened. You can see once the price broke to the upside, when it pulled back, look at how the sellers came in comparison to the buyers. The sellers were way weaker in comparison. One candle to the upside, it took around 1, 2, 3, around 6 or 7 candles just to come back to that area. So that's the reason why those are certain clues that give you signs that yes, you can be able to take the price up high. But you can clearly see here on silver, it's actually the opposite. When the price is coming up, it's taken 3, taken 2 to come down to confirm that area, and look at how the buyers are reacting. It's not necessarily much. So we would not necessarily advise you to not just start jumping your buyers right here because we're above that level. The buyers are not showing strength, means maybe we need a better price before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. So with gold, just going back to gold, overall, we'll definitely be looking for buying opportunities. This market seems to be really running away to the upside. So I think here we can be able to adjust the levels. It seems like there's a level right there. We have the main support and resistance area here that was breached yesterday. And we have the buyers right here at the bottom. So we can clearly see the price seems to have been holding here. The buyers responsible for breaking this area to the upside seem to have been holding the market here. So overall, our bias is going to be looking for buying opportunities on gold. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting those pullbacks coming in. Now, even though we've drawn these major levels or these 3 levels, take note of certain smaller levels that you could end up finding the market reacting for. You can see there's a support and resistance area here. You could find that the market might not necessarily get all the way down to the bottom, but could react from that location. But this being gold, still possibly will end up getting towards the, the yellow line before we're able to continue looking for those buys. Alternatively, if we get the price breaching and holding above this particular conservative area, we should be able to continue looking for buying opportunities on gold. So I hope that's clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all these pairs on the buy side, the pairs on the sell side, including having a look at gold, silver, and the indices as well. So guess I can address some questions if there are any, but I'm not really saying much, which is okay. It gives us an opportunity to be able to jump onto the charts. But I'm seeing a quick one from Figure Morora asking, what does it mean to probe? Probe, there are many terms that you can use that. A probe, a fakie, a spike. There are many terminologies. Basically, when the market ends up looking as if it's broken a certain level, but it hasn't. You can see we had this level right here. So yesterday, if we look at this area, this is the main support and resistance area right here. A probe is this right here, where the price looks as if it's breaking to the upside, then comes straight back, right? It never broke that level. That's why we always confirm, say, in order to confirm a level has been broken and it's not a probe, we want if the price pulled back and it was holding above, then that confirms that it's not a probe or a spike or a fake. That's basically it. So that happens a lot on the charts, and that's the reason why we always say, please wait for confirmation as well, right? So I'm not seeing any more questions. I know Christine, you're asking me to repeat gold. It's pretty much the same thing, but you know the benefit is today we do have the recordings out. You'll be able to find them on YouTube, because one thing we also want to do, because remember, we are also trading as well. So we do have only around 3 minutes before the London market does open. So we also want to be able to have time to end up looking at that. But overall, the bias is to look on gold is to look for the buys. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting a pullback, either one of these areas where the buyers have reacted from before, in order for us to look for the buys. But also watch out for the timings, 10, 3, and 4:30. So I'm seeing David asking, hi team, have you started trading copy trade as you're still laying the plans? We were not going to be doing copy trading. one thing you guys need to realize, even with the copy trading, what if now the same way we were doing these sessions, then we decide to take a break for 6 or 8 months? Does that mean that your trading stops as well? The main thing us we want to do is to empower you guys as much as possible. That's why we're trying to give you guys as much information as possible without actually doing it for you, right? So that's why we're trying to show you the pairs that we're going to be looking at, the levels that we're going to be looking at, giving you ideas of the timings of when you can buy or sell, knowing when the trade is off. Let's say, so if it breaks behind past the red support and resistance areas, the trade falls off our watch list. Like those are certain things. So you have that guidance. Now, if you need more education, we do have the masterclass, because remember, we are still giving a huge discount on the masterclass here. You can clearly see currently going for $55, and you just have 8 days remaining, because this is going to be a prerequisite for another course that we're planning on doing. Not necessarily a course, but it's more of a program. Around 1 month or so, we will end up having a few people in per class, around 5 or so, and we will end up having all these guys. We'll have to go through a lot of education, first of all, to make sure everyone's on the same page. And that's the reason why we need you guys to have done the masterclass first. Once we have done the masterclass and we go through a number of, or at least points in terms of looking at the charts, how to analyze the markets, we'll have at least around 1 week or 1.5 weeks where we're actually sitting down with you within the group, and we are all going to be looking for opportunities together during the market open as well, during the London open. So if you want us to be able to just pick our brains where we're there, we're watching you, you can ask whatever questions. That's what we're planning on doing. But the prerequisite, you guys will need to end up doing the masterclass. Without the masterclass, it won't necessarily, it won't be going as smooth as possible. Because remember, we're just trying to give you guys as much value as possible. So do make sure you stay tuned for that. But we'll give a lot more details next week as well on the program. But it should be starting very, very soon. Right. So Daniel, Budia is saying, thanks for the lesson. I'm a beginner, though I'm learning a lot from you. Kindly, can you touch on liquidity? That's a hard one to do, but we do have a free course as well. I know we're talking about the masterclass here, but you can see here, we also have a beginner course. It's free of charge. You can be able to check it out. We do end up going through certain concepts as well, but I can see also John will give you more information on that as well. So Metrine, we are saying, good morning, Mitch. Do you think that there's 30, the 30 could be preparing for a downward move in the few months to come? Now, in terms of few months, I'm not too sure. The main thing is we focus on what we're going to do today. If it's a few months, then there you're possibly going to end up looking at the daily, literally the monthly, to end up figuring out what is actually going to happen. If you're looking at it on the monthly, maybe it looks like it possibly could, right? But at the same time, that before it goes down, it's possibly going to go up. Even just having a quick analysis, look at the way the sellers are coming down here. In comparison, this is an area where the sellers, they push down. How they push down we get here? Very slow. That means that there's a possibility these sellers are not interested. And if they're not interested, we might need a better price, meaning we might still get the price coming back to some sort of a scenario here, coming back all the way here, maybe before we're able to see the price coming back. But at the same time, if the buyers don't show interest, we could still see the price coming down lower. But that's good. That's for much longer in terms of time frame. Like how long that will take just from here to here. That's yeah, that's just in May. But still, that's still quite a number of days, right? Yeah, those are a few months, isn't it? So waiting a few months for a trade, unless you're really looking at investing, that's where I would advise that. But for now, we're just looking to see what we can do for the day. I hope that's okay, Machin. Albert Miner is saying, I have a question completely unrelated. Just curious, what's your stances on the finance bill Kenya 2024 and how it's affecting us capital market trader? Yeah, I'd seen something that it wasn't something about they want to tax everything in terms of even us based on profits, even based on deposits and every transaction. This whole finance bill, personally, it doesn't necessarily make sense to me. We're shooting ourselves in the foot to try and run faster. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. So it would have a big effect. Yeah, I'm saying you're saying it's absurd, and I completely agree. But what do we have to do? We have to call our MPs and tell them not to vote for it. That I guess that's where now this democracy. Let's see how democratic we are as a country. But for now, let's keep praying, putting our head down, focusing on our trading. Worst case to us, I mean, we said mambo ni matatu. We'll either have to go or we'll stay here. So we'll just figure it out as the time goes on. But just hoping that it doesn't come into effect, right? That's at least the hope for the prayer. But we'll see what happens and we'll just adjust as we move on. So guess that's it. I'm not seeing any more questions, which is okay. We remember we do need to jump on to the London share session. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hope you guys have found value in this session. Hope you guys have learned a lot as well. Remember, the details are there if you want to end up getting a lot more education, as well as we'll give you a lot more details on this course, or at least this program that we're planning on releasing very, very soon in the next few weeks. So once again, I want to thank you guys so much. Hope to see you guys tomorrow again at 9 a.m. Cheers, guys. God bless. Happy trading and bye for now.